Let me tell you something. A driver don't pick the car. Car pick the driver. It's a mystical bond between man and machine. It's a mystical bond between man.
What's up, you beautiful collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series, Transformers Bumblebee Deluxe Class Bumblebee. And I'm thrilled that this is the first of the new Transformers Bumblebee movie figures that I'll be taking a look at. For the package, very similar to all those other Studio Series figures. We got the nice open window Transformers. You do see the Transformers Bumblebee logo there instead of like Age of Extinction or The Last Knight. Got a really nice image of Bumblebee there. My box got a little bit crushed in shipping, but you know, as long as the figure is okay, I'm okay with that. Got a nice image right there. I love here on the side, you got a bigger image of him holding a boombox. I think that's hilarious. Then on the back of the package, you got other figures that are currently in this new Studio Series line, including the new Dark of the Moon version of Ratchet, as well as Shadow Raider, which is a repaint and I guess slight remold of Lockdown. You can see it comes with a backdrop. It has a big screen inspired scale detailed and backdrop, and then you can see you got the vehicle mode, robot mode. It says Bumblebee tunes up and lays low in Charlie's garage, and then you can see Charlie's garage, which I'm guessing is what the background is. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the new Studio Series 18 Bumblebee opened up and out of his packaging. And as you can see, he is back to being his little Volkswagen Beetle. And G1 fans are ecstatic. They absolutely love the fact that they are going back in time with this and giving us Bumblebee how we kind of remember him. Now, starting off first with his accessories, as you can see, much like all these Studio Series figures, he does come with a backdrop. This is apparently Charlie's garage, I guess. You can see a little car right there and then a whole bunch of tools and everything. You got the Transformers Bumblebee logo there, Transformers Studio Series, and then you can just take them and put them there if you know you really wanted to. So you do get that. Again, I do apologize for those of you that have missed my recent reviews. I have moved and all of my figures are no longer with me right now. They're at my old place, so I don't have really anything to compare this to. All I have here is Punch Counter Punch, but you can see that he's a pretty small figure. Now, the recent Studio Series version of Bumblebee that was that Camaro was pretty small as well. I believe this is a little bit smaller, but you can see that the overall length of them is considerably smaller, and then obviously the width is much more narrow as well. Doing a little bit of measuring here for you, bringing in the new iPhone measuring thing here. We're going to add a point right there, and then go all the way across to about there. According to this, he comes in at about 4.5 inches or so in length, and then from, let's go to the tire to about here. I don't know, that about 2 inches or so in overall height. I mean, that's just an estimation, but gives you kind of an idea. Overall, though, really very nice looking vehicle mode. Transformation is a giant pain. He's fairly complex, and the problem that, oops, he just pooped that out. That's actually kind of hilarious, because you remember in the trailer, a piece fell off, and this seems to fall off a lot, because I can't really get it up there very good without, see, doing that, popping things out. But because he's kind of smaller, and you're putting a lot of engineering in this, it makes him a little bit difficult to transform, mostly because there's a lot of very small areas to try to work with, and with bigger hands it's a little bit harder to do it. It takes some patience. It takes some patience, but you can get it. It is just a little bit frustrating. But as you can see, nice yellow VW bug. You do have what looks like the VW logo. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that if you come in there right there. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it, the little VW logo. You got some nice little orange paint here for the turn signal, some nice bits there for the headlights, black and silverish gray. On the hubcaps, you got the VW logo on there as well. And looking around here, I don't really see an Autobot logo on them, which is kind of interesting. I also like how right here is the little vent, because people may not know this, that in the original VW Bug, the engine was actually in the back, so they put little vents right along there, and I like how they actually got that sculpted in there. Again, I don't know how that's gonna, you can kind of see that. That looks really cool how they have that in there. And the front section here was actually the trunk. It's where you put luggage and everything. Just some drab gray plastic back here for the bumper, and then the little exhaust pipe, some red paint for the tail lights. You got that gray plastic for the front bumper as well. Nice clear bits here for the windows, but you can see he is a bit panely, and it can really make things kind of pop out. And that's definitely what I was kind of talking about. He's panely, and he just kind of falls apart. You push in one area and the rest of them just kind of falls apart, and that's really unfortunate, because I like this guy a heck of a lot. But again, you can get it back. Now, obviously, you have weapon storage. As you could kind of see, everything falling out. The bottom section here, you have his little blade weapon that can plug in on either of his arms. You just got little posts right here that sit there and go like that. The arm cannon plugs into his crotch. That keeps popping out. I don't know if it's meant to constantly keep doing that, but that really doesn't stay in there all that great, honestly. So you push it in, and it really doesn't stay in there all that well. You know, it is what it is, but you put that there, and now it just doesn't even seem to want to do it at all. You also have his battle mask here, which can tab in to this little hook section right there. It's really difficult to get to, again, because very small space to work with, and you kind of have to go like that, and there's a point in the transformation that makes it a little bit easier to do. It's definitely not here. You can't really get into it. So those are his accessories. Obviously, you can use them in robot mode, but we'll set that off to the side, and we'll take a look at that here in a second. Now, transformation on the guy, as I talked about, is a bit of a fiddly mess. First, what you're going to want to do is come around here to the back section and take this and separate this and rotate that down just like so. Kind of this top section, you can lift this up and pull that away from the body. And then take these doors and open both of these up, just kind of, again, pulling them away from the body itself. Reach underneath here and take these legs and kind of pull these all out. They do tab together, but the tabbing doesn't really lock things in all that well, so you should be able to pull them out, and then as you do that, kind of get these little back sections all the way down. Now, there is a little trick to this that the instructions really don't point out. His knee is on a little bit of a sliding pin, so you want to make sure that you push this. I want to make sure I get it the right way, because you've got these little tiny teeth underneath here that I'm pointing at that will lock into a slot section here in the back. But in order to get it to line up, you have to slide it. So let me kind of get that out of the way, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. So it slides a little bit right there, and then when you bring that down, this section here, get that kind of out of the way, will be able to come around, and that will lock in just like so. So again, let's do that on the other side here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So you have the little sliding section right here that you just push up. Again, let me come in a little bit closer so that you can see that. So there you have the little sliding section. You push this up, and then you have that lined up properly. And then you can take this, and like I said, you got these little tiny teeth on here that will swivel around and will then push in and lock into place just like so. Then you can straighten the legs out and straighten out the feet, bring those towards the front section. You can see that while it does tab in, it's not a completely solid sort of tab, so it just frictions in there, so just kind of give that a good push. But when you're done, there you have the legs positioned properly. And kind of keep them up like that, and then you want to rotate here at the upper part of the waist. Then these arms are a little bit tricky to kind of get into because they tab in along the side. So just kind of wiggle and then pull them forward. Do that on the opposite side as well. Again, kind of wiggle that away and kind of push. There we go. Get that all out just like so. You can take these tire sections, you can fold these down, and then you rotate these arms out to the side and then spin them at the actual shoulders so they're positioned like so. Come around to this back section, you can take this section, fold this, and then fold this. This will kind of just hang out there for right now, and then take these and you want to rotate these down, and they will lock into the side. Get that kind of out of the way of the little abdomen area right there. There's little tabs again that kind of lock things in right there. And you come around here to the back section, and you can take the rest of this and you can push this up. You have a little tiny notch right on the bottom here that goes over this little gray piece there. So just bring that up and then kind of pull that away. It is tricky to get to, but kind of just push that up and in, and basically you have to fiddle with the head section here. So get that, there we go, and then bring that up over just like so. And then these back windows, you want to take these will fold down, take the outer section, fold that around. You can just kind of leave it like that. It gives it a little bit of a kind of angle sort of look. If you keep it all the way flat, it's going to keep them flat like that. So I like doing it like that. Straighten out the legs, bring down the arms, fold the hands out just like so. And when you're done, you do have to do a little bit of positioning with the knees. Make sure that those are properly pushed forward. That way you can balance them. But when you're done, there you have Bumblebee. Well, yeah, of course, it's not going to work. But when you're done, there you have Bumblebee in his robot mode. But in general, despite his very small size, I am quite impressed with how this guy turned out. Obviously, there's a lot of yellow in the figure, and as you can see, I do have his weapons plugged down there. But a lot of really very nice detail throughout the entire thing. Oh, his chest is kind of popping out a little bit. Let's get that back in there. I mean, he has a very similar look to what we're kind of familiar with you know, the earlier versions of Bumblebee. Yes, he does get a giant backpack. I do wish that this section right here could collapse up a little bit more. One other thing that I find interesting, these little bits open. I don't understand the purpose in having a hinge on this. I don't really get that at all. I don't know if it's supposed to go somewhere. I mean, I just kind of have it hanging out there, but you can kind of play with that, really kind of how you see fit. But again, overall, very similar look to Bumblebee, so he doesn't change too dramatically, and I like that. You can see like down in here some nice molded in gears and different details and things like that. Really nice head sculpt on there, very much looks like Bumblebee. There is the face swapping gimmick. It is not easy to do, and you can throw this around, but you can see that he's got his little battle mask right here, which of course it's not going to want to focus on it, but you can see there's this little battle mask. It's, you know, it's a battle mask, but what's kind of tricky is getting that to pop off. There's like a little seam right there to pull it off, and then you just peg it in there. You can see you got the little slots there in the back that just kind of flex in there, but I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to do it. But you can see that that little buzzsaw weapon here plugs into the outer section of his arm, so you can do that on both sides. And then this one, very similar to previous versions, where the arm just kind of pulls off, and then you can put the regular one back in there. Just, well, if you can get it, put it back in just like that. But the biggest thing is the size on this guy. He is very tiny, even smaller, I believe, than that Studio Series one from the first movie. The only thing, again, that I have to compare him to, I apologize, is I do have Punch Counter Punch right here, and you can see that there is a huge size difference between these. Both of them are deluxe class figures, but obviously he's a much smaller one. Now, bringing in the old iPhone to try to do the measuring thing, we're going to go from right down there to the top of his head, and what do we get, about 4 inches? Is that about right? That feels like that's a little bit too small. Let's bring in the old tape measure. Yeah, it's about 4.5 or so inches in height. So definitely a very small figure. I mean, they say that, you know, it's in scale with the new movie figures and such. And yeah, it is just definitely smaller. Now, for his articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but when you have this section pushed up to the back there, it kind of limits what you can do with the head. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. There's like a little section right there that kind of bumps up along the back of the head, so it kind of limits some of that articulation. So you do have to be careful with that. The shoulders are on ball joints. They move in and out, forward and back, rotates at, well, you got that extra little hinge right there. He rotates on a mushroom peg here at the elbow, but that's really stiff. So and that happens. The wrists are not very secure right there, so that rotates very stiff. This one's not as bad because it's a peg, but again, you can see that the wrists do have an issue. While I love the fact that they actually did pin in the backpack section, so that's not popping off. They didn't pin in the wrists, so those have a tendency to pop off fairly easily, especially if you put a little bit of pressure on them. I mean, it just kind of falls off really simply. There is no waist. Oh no, there is. Oh, that's nice. Waist articulation. You got ball jointed hips, move forward and back. I'm trying to see. Yeah, he does have a mushroom peg at the upper part of the thigh, so you can rotate that out nicely. Does have a bend here at the knee. The ankles do move forward and back a little, and they also do have tilt, so you can actually get really crazy with this guy. I mean, he can go basically as far down. I mean, that's as far as those legs will go up, and you can get both feet nicely on the ground. So pretty impressive in terms of the leg articulation. The only thing that, like I said, that I wish that it was a little bit different on him would be the wrists. I feel like that could be improved upon slightly with maybe just a little bit thicker kind of bumps right there that hold these wrists on there. But in general, very nice looking and small. And that's one thing that you're definitely seeing. And I keep bringing that up because that small size in a very compact sort of figure does create some minor issues with them. But all in all, I am quite happy with how this guy honestly did turn out. I mean, you kind of have to fiddle with his angles a little bit, but yeah, very happy with how he turned out. Now, I always talk about how a lot of times transformation one way is harder than the other, and that's why I have always shown both transformations. In the case of Bumblebee here, transforming him back into his vehicle mode is definitely the trickiest to do. Mostly because a lot of things have to line up properly. First, what we're gonna do is come around here to the back, kind of loosen this all up, and that's kind of bring this out, make this a little bit easier. Do these little tiny steps right here, and then kind of make sure that both of those windows are collapsed up there properly, and pull this whole back section out. You want to make sure that when you straighten this out, it actually kind of locks into place. You'll hear it kind of snap in there. I mean, as you can hear it, it kind of locks things in. And then fold this section out just like so. Then from here, you want to take the shoulder section, rotate at the ball joint, do that on both sides. You can collapse the wrists down and in, and then take them at the little hinge and fold that in, and then kind of bring the entire section out, and then you can rotate the fists or the entire arm down in this cavity. So do that on this side as well. Bring that down, bring that up. It gives a little bit of clearance. Kind of tuck that all the way in, and there you have his arms assembled. Kind of leave this detached for right now. Straighten out these little fender pieces. You want to kind of tab those in. It's a little bit tricky to get that completely lined up, but you're going to want to create that gap right there. Now this part can get a little bit cumbersome to do. You want to detach the knee section, and then again, remember you slid that. So now that you slid that one way, you want to slide that down towards the bottom section. So once you do that, you can then fold this. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to rotate him at the waist, and then you can fold this up. So again, let me show you this. Here is
closely as I possibly can get so you can see that little sliding bit. You want to push that down. Hopefully you can see that, and that slides down just a little, which allows you to line things up a little bit more proper. Fold this up. Get this. A lot of this stuff just kind of gets in the way. Kind of angle these like so. Bring these two bits together, and they do tab together right here. The tab doesn't stay too terribly secure. You want to just push that and hope it stays. Then you have, and this again, really tricky to see this, you got this little section right here that's going to come up and lock into this. So bring this up, push that down, get that in there as best as you can. Usually it helps if you kind of leave this open so you can kind of see, but you kind of have it like that. Bring these two little back sections together, tab these like that, keep these little feet kind of up as much as you possibly can, and then bring this along the side. Now there are little tabs on the inside here of the door that's going to lock into the leg. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. In this case, I got it perfect right there. So leave it like that, kind of hold these in the position like so. Hopefully that all stays down there. Push this down. You kind of have to hold everything as you're doing it. And the biggest thing is, like I said, when you push one thing, something's probably going to pop out. So do your best to, trying to hold it all together while doing it. It completely dislodged this. And that popped out. So I'm going to try doing that again. All of this. It's just... This right here is very, very fiddly, and I don't like it. And then you got to fold this up and kind of hold that in there. And as you can see, that's the general shape of it. It just is a matter of getting a whole bunch of different things lined up and squeezing and flexing. And I mean, you can see, you push down one thing and one section pops out. So that's kind of the best that I'm going to be able to get it. It's actually not too bad. I'm kind of impressed. But when you're done, there you have Bumblebee back in his vehicle mode. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate your support by letting me know simply by hitting that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Overall, though, a solid toy. Vehicle mode, I think, looks amazing. They did a great job of capturing that VW bug. I mean, after what we got with the masterpiece G1 Bumblebee, I was blown away by how accurate they were able to get that. And they recreated it again here with the new Transformers Bumblebee version of Bumblebee. Transformation really isn't all that bad going into his robot mode. He's definitely much more complicated going into his vehicle mode, and unfortunately he comes packaged as a robot. So if you want to transform him, you're going to have to go through that kind of pain in the butt process to get him into this mode. And it really is just a matter of getting all the panels lined up and pushed in there, and as you can see, you push one section, another pops out. It's just... It's not too fluid of a transformation, but you do get a robot mode that absolutely looks fantastic. And while, the transformation is a bit of a kind of mess at some points, this isn't the only version of this Bumblebee that we're getting. We're also getting a moving masterpiece version of this. We recently saw pictures of it, and if they utilize a lot of the same engineering and make the figure a little bit bigger, I think that they could fix a lot of the issues that this guy has. And I'm really looking forward to that version of Bumblebee. Overall, this is a really good toy. Yes, he's small. Yes, he does have some problems. But in general, I think he's well worth adding to your collection, both if you're a Bumblebee fan or just a Transformer fan. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. And before I go, I want to send a huge thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons, who through their continued support, now more than ever help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, The real trouble with the world is too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.